Hi, this is Greg Albright with Change for a Dollar. I'd like to talk today about why recruiters are using LinkedIn and some advice that they had for job seekers. Recently, I compiled a presentation for job seekers on how to use LinkedIn specifically just for them, and I spoke with a number of recruiters. All of them gave me some great feedback and advice, both for job seekers and just how they're using it. And I wanted to create a presentation just based on the feedback that they gave me. Here are my two Twitter feeds, both my personal and professional, as well as my LinkedIn account and my website. I'd love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn and give me some more feedback on how you might be using LinkedIn for your job search, or if you're using it to recruit for talent. So this is me and my LinkedIn profile. I provide nonprofit and small business executives with cost-effective recruiting and online marketing solutions. And that's what got me thinking about how LinkedIn can be used to help both job seekers and recruiters. I think the future of social media is how you integrate that into all of your business practices. Everything from marketing, which is how it's used mostly, but for HR, even in your back end processes. One day we'll figure out a way to use social media for accounting. And I think that's going to be an interesting day to see the accounting and social media worlds come together. But it'll happen because social media will be integrated into all aspects of a business here in the coming years. So I spoke with, like I said, many recruiters about how they were using LinkedIn, and all of them said that they are using LinkedIn right now because budgets are tight. They've had budget decreases across their company just for the last 3 or 4 years since the economy has been poor, and all of them said they have to find ways to make the most out of what they are left with. And specifically, they're not using advertising as much. They're not advertising in newspapers or other periodicals nearly as much as they used to. And so they have to be proactive in the ways that they go out and find talent. They still use Monster and Career Builder a lot. However, that was more of a large, where you find a large volume of people that are looking. What they really felt like LinkedIn provided value over anything else was that they were able to see recommendations and connections. They were able to gauge the quality of the candidate versus other people they were looking at. And then they were also able to use LinkedIn to compare a resume that had been submitted to what they had on their LinkedIn profile. And they are looking for differences. They're looking for any kind of change or omission that may be glaring from your resume to your LinkedIn profile. And that's one way to help them judge the quality of candidate that they're getting. It's also helping them do the same thing a job seeker is wanting to do. They use LinkedIn to research companies, to find talent. They are finding subject matter experts that may know other people in the field that are talented as well. Looking through similar industry and position groups, position types, going into group discussions about those fields or related fields where they may find people that are that have the expertise that they're looking for. I thought this was an interesting quote from the director of corporate communications at LinkedIn, and I'll let you read that and then I'll tell you why I think it's interesting. What's interesting about this quote is that she talks about passive job candidates. And I think that's something in the recruiting world people know about, but job seekers or really anyone else that's not in recruiting may not know a whole lot about. A passive job candidate is someone that may be right for the position, but they don't know about it. A passive job candidate is someone that's out there that a recruiter specifically finds that may not be looking for a career change, but just needs to be told about this new opportunity and may be then interested in it. So a recruiter spends a lot of time looking for passive job candidates, people that don't know or aren't looking right now for a new job, but might be open to changing positions. So for job seekers, you've got another level of competition you have to deal with. Not only are you competing with the people that have applied for that position, just like you, but you're also competing with people that don't even know about the position and that are being actively recruited by a recruiter. I got this quote from a large company recruiter that LinkedIn is now their number one resource for finding key talent. And I think that's a remarkable statement. This is a very large company. And so if that's what they're using LinkedIn for, is their number one source for key talent, then I should assume, and you should assume, and a job seeker should assume, that that is a best practice being done at lots of other large companies. That LinkedIn is now the number one resource for finding talent really at all companies. Some of the advice that recruiters had for job seekers was first and foremost to keep it professional. Always keep what you're doing professional and geared towards how to put your best foot forward. They all recommended recommendations specifically to have at least 3 to 5 of them tied to each of the positions that you've held in the past, maybe a volunteer or board position. You can get recommendations from your education. They also suggested that it's okay to have some personal recommendations as well as professional. Not everything has to be totally professional related. That it's good to get a complete picture of who this candidate is, even if it's your mom or your cousin just saying, Greg has always been there. He's tells too many dad jokes, but he is a good guy. Whatever that may be, because it just provides a more complete picture of who you are and differentiates you from maybe the rest of the candidates who they don't feel like they have a human connection with. A photo is a must-have. They are still surprised that there are very inappropriate photos on LinkedIn for people. It's a professional picture, not something that you took when you went to the bar last night with a bunch of people that you don't even know. And recruiters were surprised that they're still seeing a lot of unprofessional photos on LinkedIn. They also recommended groups to target those groups that are important in your field and to learn more about what's going on in your field and industry trends. To get involved in those groups, add to the discussions, create discussions on your own. But that shows you as someone that's involved in caring about helping other people and getting involved in that industry. And people do look for those things, how much you've commented on other things or discussions you've started on your own. For your profile itself, they really recommended that you give details. And not just to focus on like a job description, like your title and what your duties, but to focus on what you did in that role, what you produced. They really want to see results. How can you quantify what you did and how that impacted the bottom line? One of them provided me a great example about how I worked on a collaborative team at Chili's to find new ways to increase sales. The results being that we were number one in the chain for the summer of 2010. They want to see what you've produced. What are the results of your being in that position other than just taking up space? All things being equal, they really felt that the more results you showed, the more likely you are to differentiate yourself from someone else and get an interview. The more results you show compared to someone else, the more likely you're going to get an interview because they can see that you have produced in your position. They also recommended you include any work you're doing for internships, get recommendations from those people. One of them had an interesting quote about LinkedIn introductions, that when you ask for an introduction, the person that you're asking to be introduced to is, or at least in the case of this one recruiter, they were more likely to read the resumes out of a sense of duty to the person doing the recommending or doing the connecting than might otherwise be the case. So in other words, it's not necessarily that I'm reading this resume because you asked me to, but I'm doing it because someone that I already know has asked me to do so, and I want to respect my relationship with them and trust that I have in what they're doing, and so I'm more likely to look at it. I thought that was an interesting comment and something worth thinking about when you are considering whether you should ask someone for an introduction to someone else. So that is what I heard from them and some advice they had for job seekers. I'd really like to hear more from you about what reasons recruiters are using LinkedIn and how they're finding it successful, and also whether you have some other job advice for job seekers on the best way to use LinkedIn. Thank you for your time. I hope you'll connect with me on LinkedIn. There's my information there. If you will just mention this, that you saw this presentation, and with my Change for a Dollar title, I will accept your LinkedIn request and encourage you to visit my website. Thank you. I hope this was helpful. Again, this is Greg Albright with Change for a Dollar.